Ask the Pool Guy. On the video, my pool heater won't ignite, and this was specifically about a Rheem or Raypak heater. I see rust just below the burner tray. I have extensive rust under the burner tray after only one season. Do you see this often? And is it worth pulling out and painting with a high temp Rust-Oleum?
So I do see it on occasion. I don't think that you're going to get any more longevity out of the pool the heater by painting it. I think it might be worth investigating where's the water coming from that's creating that. You always run the risk of there being, even if it's a fairly new heater, if you had some water chemistry issues, it's very easy. Unfortunately, it's really easy to literally burn holes through the heat exchanger and water starts dripping from inside that heat exchanger. So if you had some extreme water chemistry issues for any period of time, again, only a few months, it doesn't take years for this to happen sometimes. Okay.
So
back in the day, when things were robust and we knew things were built better back then, like the heat exchangers were uber super heavy, it took a long time to wear out a heat exchanger. In today's day and age, it just doesn't, and you run the risk that if your water chemistry is off, we've seen it happen many times
in 4 months.
Fairly new pools.
So
yes,
we had a customer. He had his liner replaced before we had installed the new heater. He was taking care of his pool. We assumed, because he never asked, that he was doing okay, and the heater failed within 4 months. As it turns out, his pool was clear, and he only ever added chlorine to it, and
never checked pH and alkalinity.
Never checked. And
else.
His pH and alkalinity, literally, the alkalinity was like 0, and the pH was so low that it ate through that.
It ate through the heater in a matter of a few months.
At all. Yeah.
So I would be more concerned, getting back to this question, I'd be more concerned as to what's causing the water droplets that is causing the rust to happen, and investigate that and make sure that's something that's taken care of.
Well, let me say this. We did have a customer that had installed a heater. We installed the heater. She had somebody run the propane line or natural gas line. It might have been propane. Anyway, that heater also corroded very quickly, but not on the inside of like the heat exchanger. It corroded in the combustion chamber. And what research showed there is the line feeding the propane supply was likely large enough to make the heater fire, but it wasn't large enough to make the heater burn hot enough to get rid of the condensation. So she had an outdoor heater with an abnormal buildup of condensation that then ate the components of the heater. But of course, you know, it was not the fault of the gas line being improperly sized.
Well, we know it is, and we know was determined that, but
there you go.
No one wants to believe that kind of stuff. But
so
when you think about
the
heat inside there, if you're starving a heater for gas, and it's enough pressure to turn it on, but it requires that heat, especially in heaters today, it requires that extra temperature and heat to burn off everything that's being created in the process, because you're drawing natural air in to burn that fuel to create the heat, and that air has moisture in it, and next thing you know, it literally robbed the inside out.
Something to keep in mind: if this is a year-old heater and you replaced another heater, you cannot go up in size. You, if anything, have to see
go
if
down.
Equivalent will work. Sometimes it will, but with the newer high-efficiency heaters, sometimes it won't. And if you had a 250, you might have to drop it to a 200. If you had a 300, you may have to drop it to a 250.
I would, if the heater is 10 years, the heater that you're replacing is 10 years old plus, I would automatically step down one size of the heater. While we're still not talking super high efficiency on the heaters, we're definitely, the percentage of efficiency that's gone up, and with everything now required that it's electronic ignition and no longer standing pilot, the heat consumption or the gas consumption definitely has gone up. So you want to step that down at least one size of heater every time you do an install and switch out. We learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
We built a pool many years ago, and when we went to replace a standard millivolt heater, we put the exact same size heater in and it wouldn't fire. We had to step it down one full from a 250 to a 200, but because it ran more efficiently, it heated the pool just fine. But we had to do that because there just wasn't enough gas supply, and that would have meant we'd run an entire new gas line across the 100 feet of the basement, and it doesn't make any sense.
There
So
you go.
there you go.